Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. On occasion, for the past 20 years or so, I have been making predictions, and honestly, okay, not all of my predictions come true, but honestly, over 90% of them do wind up being accurate. I'm going to go through some of these very quickly and explain precisely why I believe these things. First of all, we are about to head into a recession. That we're already in a recession. We've been in a recession, like it or not. But this is going to be worse than 2008, worse than 2001. It's going to be worse than 1929. Why do I say this? Because, first of all, as we enter into a recession, the Federal Reserve does not have the leeway to engage in quantitative easing the way they did in 2008. So that takes that away. The current administration is not going to respond as Franklin Delano Roosevelt did by creating federal jobs. He will not, this administration is not going to do this. I don't believe any Democrat or Republican administration would respond in this manner. Any bailouts that come are going to be to bail out banks, and corporations. That's it. They're going to try and bail out the stock market and not the actual economy. Part of this, international tensions. Look at what is happening right now. The administration is threatening to sanction Saudi Arabia. Well, Saudi Arabia is already in talks with China and Russia, and I believe India as well, about doing oil trade in yuan, rupees, and rubles, and other countries as well. There is nothing, the dollar is riding high right now, based on sanctions, based on militarism, based on threats. There are a lot of things happening. There are increasing protests throughout Europe to restart the flow of oil, of gas through the Nord Stream pipeline. The governments in Europe are not going to continue to be able to ignore those protests. They're growing in number, they're growing in size. Europeans are not going to keep paying 400% more for American gas over what they were paying for Russian gas. The support for the Ukraine conflict throughout Europe is declining rapidly. The amount of weapons they've even got in their stockpile is declining rapidly. Biden had requested that Saudi Arabia delay their decrease in oil production until after the midterm elections, which they, of course, refused to do. I pointed out before, Iran and Venezuela are two of the original members, key members of OPEC, and they are already selling oil in other currencies than the U.S. dollar. The petrodollar system is really the only thing holding up the value of the dollar. If you restart the oil and gas flow from Russia to Europe, and countries ignore the U.S. sanctions, then the petrodollar is going to just crash. If Saudi Arabia starts selling oil and gas in general in other currencies, the petrodollar will crash. Let's see, what else? Okay, so the U.S. national debt is now at $31.1 trillion. The debt ceiling is $31.4 trillion. They are going to have to raise the debt ceiling again. We spend an average of $1.5 trillion per year, which in one contiguous year means that by this time next year, we would be at $32.6 trillion. They don't have an option other than to raise the debt ceiling. Our tax revenue is $4.4 trillion, but our spending is $6.5 something trillion. It's over $6 trillion. So, as of right now, 15% of our tax revenue, what we collect, goes into interest on the national debt. With interest rates rising, the amount of money, the percentage of tax revenue going towards servicing the debt continues to rise. If it rises to 25%, 30%, then that's unsustainable, completely unsustainable. The yield on U.S. Treasuries, bonds, is extremely high. Investors are starting to sell off U.S. Treasuries, U.S. bonds, especially foreign countries are starting to do this and trading in for domestic currencies. So that means that the absolute chance, while our debt continues to rise, our chances of borrowing money continues to decline because there is decreasing confidence in the U.S. dollar. All right, so that's that part of that. In November, I expect that the Republicans are going to regain control, majority in at least the House, if not the Senate. The Democratic control majority is tenuous at best. And we already know that a lot of Democrats are dinos, Democrat and name only, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, but Republicans are more about fiscal responsibility, so they will want to decrease spending. Where is that spending going to be cut from? It's not going to come from the military budget. It's not going to be from intelligence, anywhere in defense. They're not going to cut any of that. So where is that spending going to, where are those spending cuts going to come from? It's going to be from social services, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, etc., infrastructure, education, and so on. Which means, all of that means job losses. Let me go to something here. Job losses. This is where we are right now. This is the unemployment report from the Department of Labor. In the week ending October 8th, we are in the holiday season when jobs are supposed to be going up. All right, initial claims for the week was 228,000, an increase of 9,000 over the previous week. That doesn't mean that there were 9,000 people that filed for claims. It means 228,000 people filed initial claims for unemployment. Continuing claims, which I've said is already manipulated downward, but between September 27th and September 24th, it went from 1,246,000 to 1,254,000. The stock market on Thursday. Here, I had to take a screenshot of this. On Thursday morning, the stock market had gone down to over 20% decline for the year. From the previous day close to the bottom of the day, it went from 29.2 to 28.6, which is a drop of 600 points. Later in the day, guess what happens? It all of a sudden climbs by 800 points. That is a climb from the day low to the day high of 1,400 points. That was unsustainable. So look what happens the following day. It starts dropping again. Why did it go up? There are a lot of theories on that, but Gregory Mannarino thinks that the Fed started pumping money into the market again. There's no actual declaration on what caused any of this, but the Money GPS thinks that it triggered, margins, whereas if stock goes below a certain point, the algorithm says start buying. So that may be what happened. If the Fed is pumping money in, it doesn't have to be directly. They may not be buying assets directly, but if they start repo market bailout operations again, well, that would signal for banks that are tied to investment firms to buy at low interest rates, or whatever. So that could have been that. Anyway, so you go up to the day high, and then you're triggering another algorithm that says start selling. You already made your money off of it. But this is going to be a continuous stair step down. There is nothing outside of the market, the stock market itself, that justifies the market going up at all, with more unemployment and consumer spending is down. Inventories are up. That means consumers are spending more. Debt is rising. Consumer debt is rising. People are surviving off of credit cards and loans and all this kind of stuff and pulling money out of savings. So sooner or later, they reach the limit on their credit cards. They cannot borrow anymore. They don't have any more savings. AARP reports that elderly people are trying to get back into the labor market, while there are decreasing number of jobs, increasing layoffs. So we are headed into the worst recession that we have ever seen, possibly ever, probably ever. And the stock market, once it falls, corporations lay off even more. All right, let me go over to Ukraine. All right, so let me go to that. Sorry. Here's what I expect to happen there. You take a look at this. All right, so today is a slow day on that. Look at these gray areas here. What those gray areas indicate are areas that Russia had previously held earlier in the year when the special military operation began. You can see increasing activity up here as Russia continues to get their draftees, in the 300,000 people in. They are going to I expect them to retake these areas. They have sent 1,000 troops into Belarus because Ukraine has blown up bridges and shown indications of aggression toward Belarus. So I expect Russia will retake these areas partially as a defense to protect Belarus from any Ukrainian aggression. Poland, yes, they're sending troops into Ukraine to help Ukraine, allegedly. But there's also talk in Poland about retaking areas that they were not in agreement with at the end of World War II that they think belongs to them, the Lutsk region, the Lviv region. So they may send troops in there, but they may want to take those regions as compensation for helping Ukraine. Down here, okay. Again, as the troops get into, none of this is going to happen soon, but probably in a few weeks. Right now, the ground is all wet from rains, but in a few weeks, the ground is going to freeze solid. And when I say freeze solid, I mean when it freezes several feet down into the turf, and that will enable military equipment to be moving again. So that is when that is going to happen. Down here, I expect that Russia is going to make a push and take Odessa, which will cut off the mainland central Ukraine from the ocean, from ocean access. So that means no more weapons can come in through Odessa. No more supplies can come in through Odessa. That doesn't mean that Russia has to militarily, destroy central Ukraine, but it will force Ukraine into negotiations. I expect this to happen before the end of the year, at least the major movements toward that. So, those are my predictions for the coming year. Like I said, many of my predictions, I'm worse on timeline. But right now, this all looks like it is going to happen in very rapid succession. Obviously, we'll know about the results of the election in November, when we may know about many other things very quickly. Europeans demanding that to increase Russian oil and gas. That's going to happen within the next few weeks to a couple of months, because winter is coming in Europe. They're already expecting blackouts and gas rationing, while they are also experiencing an extremely cold winter. These things are going to happen, and it's going to happen right in line, and they are all very much interconnected. So, share this video, talk about these subjects. I will revisit some of them. I've set an alarm with a reminder so that 1 year from today, I will revisit all of these predictions and just grade myself on how accurate any of them are. But we're going to know pretty dang soon. All right, so share this video, talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign. And I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.